coming up with the faculty development programs, it should be another very important aspect on how, with the joint efforts, IT curricula can be modernized at the education institution across Azerbaijan. Appreciate.
Thank you. You have great experience at World Bank, regional experience. And what do you think? What kind of role is digital literacy play and ensuring effective governance and also broader economic transformation? It would be interesting your opinion.
No, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to be on this panel. Digitalization clearly will enable to improve transparency, citizen engagement, but also accelerate economic transformation and growth, as we heard already earlier. But I think what will be critical is also to make sure that we're not increasing the digital divide. So to make sure that we bring everybody along. That does not mean that everybody has to be a digital or a science, a data scientist, but at least have to be sufficient literacy, digital literacy to participate in the more and more digital economy, and does not lose out on economic opportunities. But let me first look at some of the how digitization can improve governance. So let me highlight 3 delivery ways. One is, of course, enhanced access to information. Digitization increases the public access to information, makes information and processes more visible and more participatory. The second is that there's improved accountability because of this increased transparency, and also increased citizen engagement. There are many tools people can report back, can report on things which are not working, so that makes the participation and also the ownership in processes by the citizens much stronger. And the third is, of course, the streamlined processes and the decreased bureaucratic burden. So there is another great way how governance can be improved. In terms of the digitalization and the role in economic growth, I think the biggest evidence is most of or nearly all of the 10 top companies by market capitalization are digital firms. So I think this is clear evidence. And maybe 3 other data points. Improved access to the internet has direct impact on GDP growth. It's estimated that a 10% increase in broadband penetration raises GDP by 1.4 to 1.6% Europe and Central Asian countries. So that's kind. Digital service sector is also the fastest growing globally, and digitization is a job creator, both new and more jobs. And we heard already some numbers there, and the estimates vary depending on who you ask, but it's clearly that there is a huge transformation in the landscape. For this to work, of course, the digital transformation, it's absolute, and we heard about this already, the digital literacy is absolutely required. So, and this is where the education institutions come in, but it's not only the schools and universities, but also ensure that lifelong learning is provided for. And in Azerbaijan, the digital access and skills have improved significantly over the last 5 years. And we heard already, some initiatives from the government in terms of improving the digital skills across many groups. But again, there is still a 7 percentage point gender gap in internet use and a 5 percentage point gap in digital literacy between men and women. So there clearly, like in many, if not all countries, there is a digital divide and gap. So this is something not only the Azerbaijan government, but many governments in the world have to tackle. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned women, and always when I go to IT or tech events, there are not only, but 90% men. And now we are here, women power. Okay, next question is to Inara. So if we look in the future, what do you think? How can we build a culture of continuous digital learning across both public and private sectors? In that could be possible the workforce remains adaptable and in an AI-driven economy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here. So, well, when it comes to culture, I think it's one of the most challenging areas because we are talking about change, but then at the same time, the things we're discussing here, we're talking about fourth revolution, right? So there were several before. So it's not something new. The jobs were created and they were stopped as well. Always in the history. So we know that we can learn. The thing is, what is the role of companies and what is the role of government in this triangle, let's say, when the third party is in place, actually? So there are countries that have experience of government subsidizing or providing tax incentives for the companies when they invest into development of the human capital. This obviously supports a lot because there is always this question in the mind of HRs and CEOs, how much should we spend? And especially considering that the time that employees spend on their jobs, well, it's currently very quickly, the knowledge that they have is outdated. So it's super important that they get it updated very soon. So companies should be motivated by government through incentives, through programs. For example, currently, Ministry of Economy has launched for several years already, together with Coursera, the program that has covered around 100,000 people, as far as I know, right? And there were programs that were launched by Ministry of Digital Development and Transport, which covered more than 10,000 people. So this direct investment into human capital development is also very important, which gives opportunity for those who have outdated jobs. Even within the ministry that I represent, there are organizations where we have many jobs that are becoming outdated with move to GPON, for example, when it comes to telecommunications or even within transportation. So investment into reskilling of those people is very important. At the same time, for companies, it's much more cheaper to invest into upskilling and reskilling of their employees rather than looking for professionals in the areas that they're looking for that would fulfill the jobs that they expect to. So it's the job of every one of us, including employees themselves, who need to remember that they don't want to be outdated at some point of time, but also government and the companies themselves to build this knowledge throughout time.
Thank you. Vera is joining us online. So based on your experience, can you tell us what kind of like trends or digital skills are necessary and important right now in the public sector and also business?
Hello, everyone, and hello from London. I'm glad that I can join online. Do you hear me okay? Yeah. I wanted to share a few trends we're seeing in Coursera and also mention the Future of Jobs report, which we, Aziza already mentioned, and we work in close collaboration with World Economic Forum. So let me share my screen, as I have convenience of sharing the screen online. In Coursera, we now have around 191 million registered learners, and annually we publish Job Skill Report, where we look at where our learners are enrolling, what are the most in-demand skills. So we see major three trends, not surprisingly, huge interest in Gen AI, machine AI learning, but also data ethics, governance, and protection of the data and risk management are also very much important trend. And the new trend for this year is business skills, human skills. So we're seeing, for example, in context of public sector, we see civil servants upskilling initiatives, not just to learn AI, but also data analytics for smarter, more transparent policy making, and also safe way of using the data, knowing what it is to protect your data. Therefore, we see governments as well as companies launch simultaneously data literacy, AI literacy, and cyber literacy programs together. And as we see our learners come to Coursera mostly to improve their career outcomes, we're also looking at jobs. So I'll show you, this is the Future of Jobs report from World Economic Forum, which we're seeing global trends of most jobs popular. It's big data, fintech, AI, machine learning specialists. And interestingly, electric vehicle specialists are coming in place. So it shows us the focus on green energy. And on the right, you can see Coursera own research, where we see what are the top trending skills associated with this jobs on the left. And what we see here, half of those skills are tech skills, but also human skills, business skills are coming into importance. You can't drive innovation without humans collaborating, speaking with each other. Therefore, you can see here, stakeholder communication, assertiveness, business communication are in-demand skills. And we just launched a role play on Coursera, so our learners can interactively practice those skills as well, because it's a huge demand, not just for skills, but also for practicing those skills. Probably to finish off the overview, we see that in public institutions, especially in businesses, it's recognized that innovation doesn't come just from technology alone. It comes from people who can think creatively. Therefore, creative thinking, critical thinking is a hugely important skill, as well as people need to solve complex problems and work together efficiently.
Thank you, Vera. Steffi, I have another question. So, based on your experience from World Bank's regional perspective, so what policy frameworks or investment models has proven the most effective in fostering continuous digital learning and AI readiness within the public sector?
Oh, thank you so much. I think if the answer were so easy, we wouldn't discuss it and then we would implement them already. So there's really
like easy answers.
And there's really no ready answer for this question. And still many countries are still trying to figure out how to handle AI properly and how to get AI ready across the economy, but also in the public sector. And I mentioned earlier that AI, of course, presents a great opportunity to improve government services, how government functions. But I think we need to look at key fundamentals first. One is data, and we need to be aware that AI runs on needs available data and needs interoperable platforms, and that needs to have the right digital infrastructure, but also the laws and regulations need to be in place. So this is absolutely critical. And the second we heard already are the people. So the people need to be equipped to have the skills to actually understand what is good data, what is bad data. We just heard about deep fakes. How do you see or identify deep fakes? And so I think it becomes nearly like as important as reading and writing. I think that was something that everybody needs to be able to read and write in the public sector, same as with AI skills. And I think a good starting point for that is, and the government is working on that, if not already established, is kind of a framework, a skills framework. Do we have clear definitions? What kind of skills do we want for what kind of job? And I think Austria has a good example for that, like many other countries, and also the continuous learning. And these kind of skills or standards need to be embedded in human resource processes, in incentives and rewards of the public service as well. So, and I think you mentioned also the public-private partnerships, and I think the private sector will always be ahead of the public sector. It's just by definition, if you are not up to par, you're going to go out of business. And therefore, learning from the private sector, these partnerships, I fully agree, are absolutely critical to make sure the public sector is up to date and also that the public sector is equipped to mitigate the risk involved in AI. Thank you.
Thank you. And another question to Vera. So you work at Coursera and you have great experience. It's a great platform. I also use, I'm sure everyone is using or has used at some time. So what do you think such kind of like platforms, how they can strengthen partnership with local universities and also innovation hubs to build practical, future-oriented digital skills for both public officials and also SME employees?
Thank you, Lika. And I very much agree with Inara and Emilya saying that, and Steffi saying that public and private sector should collaborate in this upskilling efforts. And we are very active in Central Asia. As an example, we work with the Ministry of Economy in Azerbaijan. And actually, up to date, we have now 50% growth of learners over the last year alone. So now we have 228,000 learners on Coursera, and 48% of them are female, which is great to see this diversity and inclusion. And that's how Coursera started, with a mission to bring quality education to everyone. And this is the perfect example of how we work with Ministry of Economy, but also major companies like SOCAR and Pasha, our sponsors. And then we have learners from all different backgrounds. We have civil servants, we have corporate students, we have teachers, we have university professors, and the age gap is between 13 to nearly 79. But within these efforts, the government was very focused in rolling out this program. So we had learning track recommendations focused on AI upscaling for all, but also for entrepreneurs, for women leadership, for oil and gas sector. So very focused learning tracks. And the second success of our program is localization. So with AI, and Coursera is not just a content platform, but also tech platform. We're using AI innovations. We now dubbed top 15 courses in Azerbaijani. So our top professors can speak not just English, but also French, Italian, and Azerbaijani, which is fantastic to see. All those top courses by enrollments are those courses we translated and localized. And we see learners coming from all different areas, and especially rural areas as well in the country. The other program we're running in the region of Central Asia is slightly different wave of collaboration in Kazakhstan, where we have Ministry of Science and Higher Education leading this upskilling effort. And they connect us with 100 plus universities, where Ministry provided a few reforms about 3 years ago. And now all these universities are integrating Coursera into their curriculum. So which means they can provide up-to-date learning tracks and upskill students with the real-time skills. And a big focus is, of course, on AI and AI upskilling. So you see that almost all the students in Kazakhstan have taken AI courses. These are just a few examples, but I'm very, very grateful for this cooperation we have in Azerbaijan, and it's a great use case of this triangle of public sector, government, businesses coming in place, and also universities.
Thank you. Aziza, from your perspective, what collaborative approaches could help small businesses in Azerbaijan access digital training, also adopt AI tools, and stay competitive in this big market? Maybe not only in Azerbaijan, but if you can discuss also about the region, will be helpful, I think. For me, at least, because I'm from Tbilisi.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So there is an international research on the digital transformation of organizations, and it is believed that only 97% that organizations that are willing to digitally transform themselves are reaching only use case implementation and their own company transformation. But only 3% of the companies are reaching the final success. So they are not only transforming themselves digitally, but also their ecosystem. And to do so, we have seen that small, medium, and even large enterprises sometimes are facing the difficulties, especially in the financial and human resource challenges when it is coming to the AI adoption for their businesses. And we have some approaches, for example, public-private partnership, the use case of Coursera or other partnerships. We have been also partnering with StrategEast in 2023 regarding the IT Hub project, and it was very successful. Even some of the students got employment, half of them. So another point could be shared infrastructure. For example, Ministry of Economy currently is working in the establishment of the supercomputer center, where it will open the doors also to the businesses, small and medium enterprises, to come and
what does it mean?
it will give the high computing power. Like it is 1.3 petaflops supercomputers, and we'll be establishing a center where public, private, industry, universities can come and make research and develop their ideas, projects, and maybe in sandbox mechanisms will be also established. Currently, we are surveying collecting the needs of the ecosystem. And another point could be incentives, like tax incentives, as Ms. Inara Valiyeva mentioned, and support from the government in financial format. For example, last year we have started to pilot Industry 4.0 readiness program. What we are doing, we are going, we have launched a special platform where companies are applying, they are willing to digitally transform themselves. And after some requirement process, we are prioritizing the organizations that is specific to the industries. For example, it could be education, it could be healthcare, it could be mining and other stuff. And after the evaluation process is done, we are diagnosing their digital maturity, if their technological and green maturity is ready to start the implementation of technologies. And after this phase, we are preparing technological and green transformation roadmaps tailored for each organization. So there could be more than 50 initiatives of how you can use AI in human resources management and logistics and so on. And so far, last year, we have started with 3 pilot companies, big ones, 1 middle and 2 big ones. And this year, we have reached 15 companies. There are small, medium, and large companies. And till 2030, our goal is to reach to more like 60 companies fully digitally transformed, and our aim to get their nomination to the Digital Lighthouse, which is the highest point of recognized from the World Economic Forum. And most of the time we have seen from the transformation roadmaps that human capital development is in the first place. So the small, medium, even the large enterprises are their need is to develop their human capital development, and of course holistically approach the Industry 4.0 readiness and support the SMEs. Our Ministry of Economy, especially Azerbaijan Development Business Fund, also supporting financially these companies that have applied to the Industry 4.0 readiness program. Even they can invest themselves, or they can request help from the government, and Ministry of Economy will give like this hand. And we are also in the process of establishment Industry 4.0 Zero Center, where there will be advanced manufacturing line, only to showcase, not for the mass production, but to showcase from A to Z how state-of-art technologies could be implemented in the production phase. This, like, regardless of if it is milk production, if it is plastic production, and and there will be, of course, in this center will be also giving some raising awareness, giving some industry-related trainings also.
Great plans. Inara, what does true digital literacy mean for the near future? What do you think? And how do we ensure that every child in Azerbaijan, and not only here, but maybe in the Caucasus region, can become not only digitally literate, but also digitally empowered?
First of all, I think, well, as I was listening to what we were discussing, I think three main things which cover a lot, actually. So first is starting early. I have two daughters, 9 years old and 15 years old. And even between them two, I see the difference. So my 9 years old, she is into discussing with AI her projects and getting ideas and sharing and improving. And the elder one wants to stick to the sources that she trusts more, and she's a bit more skeptical about AI. So when starting early, when it comes to digital literacy, when it comes to using AI in your everyday, is something that is super important to make sure that we raise these children who are digitally empowered. Second is reaching everyone, and here building on the point of digital divide, well, here I mean both teachers. We are currently working on a double degree program, which will cover some specific areas, fields of education. When we get international experience and together with local institution, higher education institution, we'll launch this program for Azerbaijani youth. But then the question is, who will be teaching that? Are people who are currently teaching within the universities ready to adopt, know, understand the curriculum, the knowledge that will be coming here? So teachers as a separate direction, as mentors for this. Also vocational education, as Aziza mentioned, all those professions that will be growing as we move forward, all the nurses and others. We definitely need to focus on vocational education, which wasn't a big focus here, unfortunately, but now it is becoming more and more important. And here, private, again, is very much needed because we need to make sure that it's interesting and growing. And reaching everyone, for me, also means creating solutions that are interesting and relevant for everyone. For example, this launch of ADV Geri-Al, so basically this getting part of VAT back when you pay legally. That was, it had the purpose of making sure that taxes are paid and so on, and it was adopted very quickly. My mom, who is 65 plus years old, she is using it very actively because it's relevant, because it's interesting for her. So creating digital services that are relevant, that are proactive, that require minimum of your action, makes sure that you reach everyone. And then finally, industry, education and government cooperation. We've discussed it a lot today, but this is exactly what we need to do, because without understanding of the industry needs, we cannot make sure that education, which usually is more conservative anyways, adapts quickly enough. So having this generation of digitally empowered people is not about creating AI engineers. It's rather having 9 years old talking to AI for her STEAM project. It's about a farmer who uses AI or other digital solutions for correct forecasts for his own needs.
Yeah. Thank you, Emilya. And the last question from my side, and maybe if you have, the audience question can answer, but maybe one, but we will not have time for more. So Emilya, how is, you represent Baku Higher Oil School, and how the school collaborates between academia, industry, and also innovation centers to ensure the digital and AI skills translate into real world impact?
Yes, thank you. For those who are not familiar with the Baku Higher Old School, I would like to mention that actually it's one of the youngest universities in Azerbaijan, only 13 years old, but it's also one of the promising, very popular as well as the promising universities in Azerbaijan. And it's the since it's the the youngest one, it's definitely relatively small. And what I would like to say in terms of the bringing those AI, let's say the projects, technology into the industry, and how we are achieving it, because I think that since the university that's really put the emphasis on the innovation, and I would rather say that maybe the innovation that stands at the very core of the university. And we have the very good experience, and I would like to share that experience as well. And also, I mean, in terms of our experience, our success lies in the fact that we have a very strong cooperation and coordination between the departments within the university. I think that should be the starting point. We have innovation center from one side. From another side, we have the career center as well as international relations department, and we are working together in order closely cooperate and get in touch with the industry. Again, we are coming to the importance of the industry as well, because for whom we are creating all those, let's say the technology and the project, definitely for the industry. Definitely, since we are also under the SOCAR, state-owned company of the Republic of Azerbaijan, so it's relatively easy for us since we have this access to the SOCAR and its partners, as well as we have the partnership with other energy companies in Azerbaijan, as well as in the global companies as well, with the BP, Schlumberger, for instance, as well as the other companies. And we deeply cooperate and we learn what is their need. It's very important for us to understand what was their need. We have the frequent conversations, frequent meetings. We frequently organize trainings as well as for our students. Also, one of the important aspects is that we are, as a university, also attracting those professionals that work at that companies as teachers that teach to our students, so that it enables them to broaden students' horizon, as well as provide the needed information in terms of what is the let's say the needed in the industry now. It's also important aspect for us. And so this cooperation with the industry, within the university, as well as with the industry, helps us really to manage this process. From another perspective, I would also like to mention that we also frequently organize the different programs for our students. But again, this program is also directed to solving the problems that come from the industry. Again, I would like to provide maybe the latest experience. We had the hackathon with the Bank Respublika. It's one of the popular banks in Azerbaijan, and we took their problems. We analyzed what's the specific problems they face. We took those problems that's related with the SME, by the way, and then definitely the teams, they come up with the very interesting projects, and at the very end, the company decided to go with the several projects that was actually created during the hackathon, as well as they decided to hire several let's say the students as well. So it's shows how in terms of as a good practice, how it can integrate it, as well as the later on implemented. And also another important aspect is I think that it's also the good experience. At the annual basis, we are organizing for the students, definitely for all students, but specifically for our students, we are organizing the conference, and it's not about the theoretical conference. It's in the form of the competition, as well as they should come up with the research projects, as well as that to implement in a certain to the certain extent, and they showcase and present their project, their research, and at the end we come up with the really very important, very interesting projects at the end. And we later, as innovation department, we took those promising ones and implement this, and later on we come up, we participate in different programs in Azerbaijan as well as the global. So it's another way how we can let's say can transform this, let's say, the technology that's created in the university into the industry. But again, I would like to mention that here the important aspect is the understanding what is the industry needed now, and then working on it. So again, in this case, the cooperation industry and academia is thank you, I appreciate.
Thank you. I agree. Cooperation is very important, and also more than half my life I am in education system also, and as we can agree and conclude that it's important to have shared responsibility from not only universities but the government and the businesses. And as Aziza mentioned, when we had here the project, it was not only education, it was also their employment process, and business was also involved there, and of course financial institutions who were who funded this program. Yeah, thank you. If you have questions, you can answer after our panel, because I know that it's time to conclude and finish today. And thanks to my beautiful ladies and for this great discussion, for thank you for your involvement. And we will have now closing remarks. Yeah, Hall 1, Anatoly Motkin, the president of StrategEast, will have closing remarks in Hall 1, and we are inviting there. Thank you.